Hey everybody, it's Nick here again. Now, a couple of years ago, I wrote a blog post all about using Visual Studio Code desktop to create Power Pages assets from scratch. Now, if you missed it, you can check out the link in the accompanying blog post and read up on that. Not much has changed in that respect. The one thing that has changed, up until recently, we relied on using a bunch of Power Platform command line instructions, also known as PAC CLI. These commands we use in the terminal to connect to our environment, to download and upload websites, and manage all of our Power Pages assets. That meant constantly switching between VS Code, Power Pages Design Studio, the management app, and your browser just to see all these changes get live. So just this past week, Microsoft released an update called Power Pages Actions, which makes it far easier to use Visual Studio Code and Power Pages. Now, before we dive into those actions, let's quickly review why you would want to use Power Pages in Visual Studio Code for the desktop when developing your websites. So one reason I still like using Visual Studio Code for the desktop for Power Pages development, because I can go in there, I can create new assets, I can create web pages, templates, content, snippets, files directly inside the Visual Studio Code for desktop editor. And that was kind of the outline of the other video that I had done last year. Now, the new thing that I'm going to make a video on soon is leveraging GitHub Copilot Chat, using the @Power Pages plugin to whip up things like HTML, JavaScript Liquid, or CSS really quickly. And I've been playing around with this whole vibe coding aspect as well and building sites. So we're going to dump into that a little bit later on, but it's really cool. Now, I know a lot of you, and myself included, have been using the Visual Studio Code for the web. This is actually a pretty powerful thing. It gives you a direct in-browser editing access to the Power Pages Design Studio through the Power Pages Design Studio. You don't need to do the downloads or updates. I found that's really great for those quick tweaks, but it's missing a few things that the Visual Studio Code for desktop gives you. All right, I'm in Visual Studio Code for the desktop. A couple things we need to do here. First off, you need to make sure you have the Power Platform build tools installed. If you don't have these things, go out and get them. The other thing you're going to need for some of these features is the Microsoft Edge tools for VS Code. It will prompt you to install this, but maybe you can go out and get that as well. Plus any other tools that you like. Of course, I have GitHub Copilot installed, which is super handy for a lot of things. All right, so once we do that, if I go to the Explorer and we expand Power Pages Actions, I'm actually going to see the environment I'm currently logged into. And this is based on the auth profile that I'm currently signed in on. If you don't see anything yet, you are going to need to authorize yourself against your particular environment. That's pretty straightforward. You go in and you sign into your account. I've already done that. I have a variety of authorization profiles already set up. I don't want to delete them, go through this process. This is fairly well documented in other places. I have selected the profile I'm going to work with. And now if I go back into the actions here, I do see the website, the environment. If I want to switch environments, I can just click on these little arrows and switch the environments. It's going to give me a drop-down list with all of those. That's pretty handy. We don't have to use those command line tools to do that. And then even into the site itself, we have some other things. First off, we have preview. Preview is pretty cool because instead of having to open up a side browser somewhere, I can just hit that preview. It is clearing the cache. We see that down here. And it is showing me a simulated preview, and it also loading the dev tools. So I'm just going to close some of these windows here. And here we can see the Edge tools, and we can see the website come up in a few minutes. So here I actually have built in, the resolution isn't great on this screen, of course, but I can do this and I can actually go, I have the dev tools here, and I can go through and view and browse the website as if I'm just working with that. So that's pretty handy, all built in there. Let's go back into my dev tools. I'm going to close all of these things. Let's increase the size again so you all can see what I'm working on. So that was the preview. Also download site. This is pretty handy because if we want to download the code to work on it, I just hit download. I need to choose a folder. So I chose my dev folder, and now we see here the terminal is actually going through and actually running those PAC CLI commands for you. So you don't need to memorize all of these things. It's downloading my website. That's there. That's great. Now that that's downloaded, what I can do is I can go and open up that folder, and we see here, I've opened up the folder. I can see my web pages, web pages and all that other stuff. And we can begin to work on this particular Power Pages site. So we can go and make a few changes. If if I go into something simpler, like even the home page and a content page here, let's just go and we can just say, instead of the introduction section, I'm just going to go hello world. Easy peasy. I'm just going to hit Control S to save this. And now what I can do, going back to the Power Pages actions, I can see here that this has been logged as current. And what I can do, I've downloaded the site before. What I can do is upload the site. And of course, it gives me the warning. And now it's going through that pack command to upload the changes that I've made to my site back into Dataverse, which is really cool. Now, the other things, we have options here. We can see the site details. The site details are pretty handy if you're doing some kind of troubleshooting and you want to see the website ID, some of these other things, when it was created, the website URL, those types of things. We also have the Reveal and Explorer, which will actually open up the File Explorer so I can find those actual files and maybe push them up to my source control if I really want to, as for example. And we can even just go and open that in Power Pages Studio, which of course is just going to open up that in the Power Pages Studio, and it's opening up in my other browser here. But basically you get the idea that it's just another way to navigate. And then a few other things. Like I said, we have the preview there. We have the inactive sites, so we can actually open up the site management here. And this is actually going to open up the Power Pages Management app, which is pretty interesting for that inactive site. So we can actually navigate to all these other tools very quickly from within Visual Studio Code. So it's pretty handy. It's a really nice new feature from Microsoft. Definitely check it out. I am going to do some other videos and we're going to explore this little guy, the Copilot chat for at Power Pages, which is something that is a little different than the Copilot that's actually built into VS Studio Code for the web and the other Power Pages Copilot. So you do have lots of options. And we're going to eventually, I think I'm going to do a video where we're going to get into a little bit of vibe coding. Now, I know what I'm doing, but this is a way to kind of show that you can kind of vibe and work and maybe build out some sites and pages. This again is going to be an exploratory topic, but anyways, that's it for the new Power Pages actions. Check it out. I hope you enjoyed this video and look forward to the next one. One more thing I forgot to mention is if you open up a site that you currently aren't connected with the Power Pages action. So if I'm not connected to this particular environment, but I open up another site that I've downloaded earlier, what actually happens is you do actually see these other sites. So this is one way that you could actually move your Power Pages website from one environment to another, again, without using all of the pack commands to do that. Now, I would suggest you move them using solutions. That's a much better way, but if you wanted to do this through Visual Studio Code, you can. You would see the other sites, and then basically you can select and you can upload the site, and that is going to upload the site to your selected environment. So be careful with this. You might not want to upload sites into particular environments, but it is a pretty handy feature.